your home for Ducks basketball.
I think we have talent. We have some good experience.
Duarte to the basket, the slam. Omarui for three, yes!
I think we have enough talent to have a very competitive team.
Oh, and a steal and slam for Williams.
I think we've got as much talent, if not more, than we've ever had in our game.
Mike fires, hit. Only right corner three, another bully ball. The Ducks have done the double championship for the second time in 3 years. The Ducks are Pac-12 champions.
It's time for Tip-Off Tuesday, presented by Carl's Jr. on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College. Visit your locally family-owned and operated Carl's Jr. today. Carl's Jr. Feed your happy. From the Country Financial Studio, alongside Terry Jonz, here's Joey Mack.
Thank you, and we've got a ton of interviews for you today. We'll hear from Oregon women's basketball freshman Sydney Parrish, also head coach Kelly Graves. Terry Jonz sat down with them earlier. You hear from him coming up in just a moment. I also had the pleasure of sitting down with Will Richardson. It was great to see Will back on the floor after Oregon men's basketball coming off a few rough weeks. We know that. Ducks able to get a big win over the Huskies. And we also had the chance to catch up with Tony Stubblefield, associate head coach for the Ducks, as Oregon men's basketball now prepares for a trip to the desert. That's right. The Ducks will take on Arizona State. That's coming up on Thursday at 6 o'clock. We also do know for sure that the Oregon men's basketball game against Cal in a few weeks will be a 7 o'clock tip on Fox Sports 1. For those of you keeping track of the schedule, you can always find it on GoDucks.com. But Oregon men's basketball at 6 o'clock in Tempe on Thursday. That means a 5:30 pregame show right here. And it's a 1 o'clock tip-off on Saturday for Oregon men's basketball taking on the Wildcats of Arizona. Meanwhile, for Oregon women's basketball coming off a tough loss to those Arizona Wildcats yesterday, well, Kelly Graves knows that with that rotation in flux, the Ducks are still trying to find that right combination as we head through the rest of the season with only 5 scheduled league games left for Oregon women's basketball. They're hoping that this is the week where things start to click. Cal, 4 o'clock on Friday is the Ducks' next opponent, and they will be back at home at Matthew Knight Arena before taking on Stanford at 4 o'clock on Monday. So a busy few weeks as both basketball teams are looking to come out of their COVID pauses and find some rhythm, both offensively and defensively. I know a lot of fans wondering for Chris Duarte, Eric Williams, if those guys will be back. I would expect Eric Williams to be back after he finishes protocol on Thursday. Chris Duarte, look, coach said postgame, we'll see. Outside chance maybe Chris Duarte with that ankle injury is able to go this week when the Ducks head to the desert for men's basketball. Similarly, I know a lot of fans are wondering about the likes of Taylor Chavez and Maddie Shear. We'll see about those two for Oregon women's basketball coming up on Friday, as they have both been going through protocol and injuries of their own. That's just kind of the nature of the beast right now. It's what everybody's dealing with around the country, and the coaches have certainly tried to adapt as best they can. But we all know it's tough. Now, all these coaches at Oregon, though, would be the first to tell you that they're not going to use that as an excuse. But me sitting here in the broadcaster's chair, I've certainly noticed that the rotation being inconsistent has led to a lack of rhythm offensively and defensively. Now we'll see if that changes. We talk with Tony Stubblefield, Will Richardson, Kelly Graves, and Sydney Parrish on this edition of Tip-Off Tuesday, presented by Carl's Jr. All of our guests joining us on the University of Oregon Alumni Association guest line. And we have a very busy show, so a quick time out as we open things up. And when we return, sitting down with Associate Head Coach Tony Stubblefield for Oregon men's basketball. The newly promoted Associate Head Coach Tony Stubblefield. That's next on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
Carl's Jr. invites you to try the new Fiery Famous Star. Are you looking for sizzling charbroiled burger bliss, melty pepper jack cheese, and kickin' jalapeno crispiness? All dripping with creamy, zesty, fiery sauce goodness? Your answer is yes. Join us for the new Fiery Famous Star. Only at Carl's Jr. Feed your happy. Available for a limited time at participating Carl's Jr. restaurants. Price of participation may vary.
Gerard Butler stars as a man determined to save his family from a catastrophic event. Rent Greenland, now available at Redbox. When a comet is projected to hit Earth in 2 days and trigger the apocalypse, John Garrity desperately attempts to flee to a safe haven in Greenland with his estranged wife and son. The journey turns perilous as panic and lawlessness grow around them, making their path to safety uncertain. Watch Greenland and make it a Redbox night. Visit redbox.com for all the ways to watch.
What's it like to grow with the O? At OCCU, we support Duck fans each step of the way by educating our youth with Lucky Duck Savings, celebrating independence with Duck Debit Checking, and rewarding members with the Duck Credit Card. That's how Duck fans grow with OCCU. Learn how you can too at myoccu.org/ducks.
You're listening to Ducks basketball on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
Listen and imagine. It takes 5 seconds to send a text, and for those 5 seconds, you're driving blind. Life is worth more than a text. Stay alive. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Everybody buckle up. Mom. Buckle up.
Let's go.
Buckle up.
Can we go to the store? Mom,
buckle
can we get
up.
some ice cream?
Everybody, buckle up.
A lot goes on in the car, but you're in control. So only move when you hear the click that says they're buckled in. Never give up until they buckle up. Learn more at safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Tip-Off Tuesday, presented by Carl's Jr. Joey Mack inside the Country Financial Studio, and joining us from Matthew Knight Arena, Associate Head Coach Tony Stubblefield. Coach, we've had this interview scheduled. This is now the third different time, but this is the world that we live in, so thanks for the flexibility, and I'm glad that we can finally have you on the show to chat. How are things?
Well, hey, thanks for being patient with me. We've been going through some ups and downs over the course of the last over the last month, so I'm glad I'm able to make it today, coming off a pause. We're getting a little bit of normalcy back on with this, so I'm glad I'm here.
Hey, in all seriousness, Coach, I mean, adaptability must have been like the motto for you guys throughout the last, it's almost been a full year, since that fated day in Las Vegas when everything paused for us. I mean, what's it been like, Coach? I haven't had the chance to talk with you. What's the last year been like for you?
Well, there's definitely been a lot of ups and downs since last year in March, but we're definitely getting through it. There's some light at the end of the tunnel. But, it's just, everybody's having to deal with it. Coach Altman has been very big with our guys. There's going to be a lot of ups and downs, and we just got to stick together. And, again, we're not the only team in the country that's dealing with it. All the teams in the country are dealing with it. Baylor's on pause now, a top team in the country, and a lot of the teams have been on pause. So hopefully, there's no more pauses for us, and we can get back to playing basketball and playing well and try to get on the same page, but just trying to make the most out of it.
Congratulations on the promotion, by the way, Coach. We haven't had the chance to talk with you since the promotion to associate head coach. That's got to feel pretty good.
Well, I definitely appreciate it. I appreciate Coach Altman, Rob Mullins, and, everybody at the university for giving me the opportunity. University of Oregon is a great place to work at, and I've really enjoyed my time being here.
Well, if I could brag about you for a second, Stubbs, because that's what I do sitting here in this chair all the time. During Coach Stubblefield's tenure, everybody, Ducks have had 4 recruiting classes that were ranked among the top 12 nationally in 16, 17, 18, 19. And let's just say I have a feeling that there's going to be a few more of those in the coming years, right, Stubbs?
I hope so, but again, it's a lot bigger than me. Coach Meniger's done a great job helping us recruit. Coach McKenna, obviously Coach Altman, and just the success of our program, just the success of the university, and just our brand really, makes it a good situation to sell to young men.
You're an ace recruiter. We've talked about that. You and I have on the show in the past, Stubbs. What do you think makes a good recruiter, and what do you maybe tell young coaches? Like, what's the key to being a good recruiter?
I think a big part of it is you have to build relationships, and there has to be a trust. And the big, part of that is, when you're recruiting a young man, you really got to sell the vision. And I think you have to be honest with them about, the impact they can have on the program, when that impact can be, and just the opportunities that are going to be there for them. And again, the relationships with everybody involved in recruiting, I really think is a relationship-driven business of just your contacts and the people that you know. And once you've had some success doing it, I think the program really sells itself. Once you've had guys taken in the first round, once you've been to a Final Four and Elite Eight, you won Pac-12 championships, I think that makes the job a little bit easier.
So, Final Fours, Products, there's a lot that's happened in the last decade for the Oregon men's basketball program. I mean, if I told Tony Stubblefield of 11, 12 years ago, like, this is what you guys are going to have here at Oregon come 2021, what would he have said?
I don't know if I would have thought it then, but again, when I made a decision to come here to the University of Oregon with Coach Altman, I thought there was an opportunity to do it. Again, there was going to be a lot of hard work that went into making that happen. And again, you got to have, the ball's got to bounce your way to get to a Final Four, to win some championships. But, we put a lot of hard work in, and we had really good players that help us get there. Without the guys and having good players, you don't have an opportunity to win those championships and make it to a Final Four.
Some of those great players, we're seeing them star in the NBA now, Coach, with Peyton Pritchard, the most recent addition to the Products ranks. What has that done for recruiting in all seriousness? And part two of that question is just how cool is it to see those guys playing well at the next level?
Well, just to give you an example about Peyton Pritchard, it's against all odds. Here's a young man who stayed all 4 years, which goes against everything with getting drafted in the NBA because, they claim they want to get him young. But here he was, stayed all 4 years, won big while he was at Oregon. It's the hardest worker that I've ever been around, and he just got better and better. And it just proves that you've worked hard and you stay the course, everybody's path is different. And so it's so happy to see those guys get to the next level and be successful, especially when you see all the hard work that they put into it.
How'd recruiting change in the last 12 months, and do you see some of the strategies you guys have had to adopt over the last 12 months or so? Do you see some of them continuing in your recruiting strategies?
Well, I tell you what, I've done more Zooms in the last 12 months than I've ever done in my entire life. You're watching a lot more film on kids. You're doing a lot more background because, you're not getting the chance to see them face to face, to see them play in person. So you're just trying to get all the information that you can on a young man before making a decision whether you think it's a good fit for your program or not. I would much rather be able to see the young men play in person, to get a chance to sit with them physically, to meet their parents, to meet their family, so forth, their high school coaches, and have those conversations. But, I think some of the things that we're doing now will continue to stay. And it just shows, there's more than one way to get it done.
Yeah, no doubt. Tony Stubblefield joining us on Tip-Off Tuesday, presented by Carl's Jr. He's on the University of Oregon Alumni Association guest line. So let's get back to action. It had to be a nice feeling against Washington. Anytime you beat your rival, it's a nice feeling. But getting a win and getting back on the winning side of things, even with still a little bit of a shorthanded squad, that had to feel pretty good this past weekend.
Our team needed that. We needed it as a coaching staff. The guys came out, they played better, made some threes, which always helps. And, we were able to come up with the win. And again, it's been hard on these guys, the pausing, not having, the same group of guys practicing on a regular basis, not knowing who's going to be healthy, not know who's going to be under the COVID protocols and so forth. So it's been challenging. So it was good to see the guys have some success, and hopefully we can build off of that.
Yeah, building on it now, that's got to be the huge key this week. How challenging has it been to get your rotations in order and to settle on a lineup each game when there are so many unknowns out there, Coach?
Well, I think it is a little bit challenging because, again, you got Will Richardson, who's just coming off of an injury who we haven't had all year. You have Eric Williams, who will just be coming back this week, who was out. Now you have Chris Duarte, who had been with us, but then he goes out, hurts his ankle, so now he's out for a little bit. So it is challenging because, again, you have to work with the hand that you've been dealt, and, not knowing that on a regular, it's just kind of a day-to-day basis of who we got. But Coach Altman has been very adamant and really selling to our guys that everybody's got to be ready. You never know when your opportunity is going to come. And that's one thing that I think has been very good with our bench and the guys that hadn't seen, major menaces. When their opportunities come, they have to be ready to step up.
How big was it to have Will Richardson back?
It's been very big. Will's a guy that's been in our program for 3 years, so he has the most experience out of our guys who's been here with us. He's had great success. He really knows our offense, where we want guys. He knows where we want guys defensively. So just having his leadership and his experience out there on the court helps, and it helps with them other guys giving them confidence as well. So he helps in a lot of areas, and Will's a great kid. And again, coming back after having not played a game in just about a year, it just wasn't going to happen overnight. So I think he's going to get better and better each game he plays. And once he gets his endurance and gets his legs up underneath him, I think he's only going to get better.
We're going to feature him on the show this week, Stubbs. I figured, it's a good welcome back. We'll just kind of go in depth on him. What do you remember about his recruitment, and how much better has he gotten in his time at Oregon?
I tell you what, Will has gotten a lot better, but Will was a very talented player coming out of high school. He played for a great AAU program, Each One Teach One. So we really started recruiting Will the summer of his senior year, playing, at the Pete's Jam and seeing him play in the EYBL. And then he went to one of the top high schools in Oak Hill. So just going up there, he was coached by a great coach in Steve Smith. So when Will got to college, he was really prepared because he played for a great AAU program, played for a great high school coach in Steve Smith. So he had really been taught. He knew the game of basketball. So he was ready from day one to really come into a program and make an impact. And, Will's parents are great people, and we're just thankful he gave us the opportunity, to coach him coming all the way from down in Savannah, Georgia, in that area to come to Eugene, Oregon.
That's a long trip, isn't it? That's a long flight that Will's had to make a few times so far in his life. Coach, my last question for you, just looking ahead. You guys are hitting the road to the desert. Some keys to success against a couple pretty good squads that, usually these games are a lot of fun between the Ducks, the Sun Devils, and the Wildcats.
These are going to be two very challenging games. Obviously, Arizona State's a very talented team. I think they were picked to win the conference. Haven't kind of played the expectations up to this point, but they've had guys injured. They've had some COVID situations as well. But they do have a lot of talent. They had the preseason player of the year, Remy Martin. So it's going to be very challenging for us. But it begins and ends with us with defense and rebounding. If we can go over there and really defend hard, beat them on the boards, we're going to make shots over time. But we really got to focus in on the defensive end of being able to get stops and being able to finish the stop with the rebound. And if we could do those things, I think we have an opportunity to be successful. But we're going to have to go over there and play really, really well. Everybody's going to have to be ready to step up and make an impact when their opportunity comes, and really stay together and play focused for 40 minutes.
Tony Stubblefield, man, thanks for taking the time. Thanks for what you do, and we're glad that you're here. I'm glad that we still get the chance to talk with you, even though you're not sitting here in the comfy chair. Hopefully we'll be able to do that again soon, Coach. Good luck on the trip in the desert, and looking forward to catching up with you again soon.
Thanks for having me, and I appreciate you guys being patient, waiting them 2 or 3 weeks for me.
Hey, anytime. Hey, Coach, whatever it takes to get back to some basketball, that's what we're here for. That's what we're here for. We got more basketball coming up. Will Richardson, Kelly Graves, a lot to talk about on Tip-Off Tuesday, presented by Carl's Jr. after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
Ninkasi Brewing is proud to be an official partner of the Oregon Sports Network. Independently owned and brewed in Eugene since 2006, Ninkasi is thrilled to launch the GOAT Pack, the greatest of all time IPAs, their first all-can variety 12-pack featuring Total Domination Northwest IPA, Tricera Hops Double IPA, Prismatic Juicy IPA, and new and exclusive Juicy Domination Tropical IPA. Find it on shelves now. More information at ninkasibrewing.com.
Gerard Butler stars as a man determined to save his family from a catastrophic event. Rent, Greenland. Now available at Redbox. When a comet is projected to hit Earth in 2 days and trigger the apocalypse, John Garrity desperately attempts to flee to a safe haven in Greenland with his estranged wife and son. The journey turns perilous as panic and lawlessness grow around them, making their path to safety uncertain. Watch Greenland and make it a Redbox night. Visit redbox.com for all the ways to watch.
Your home for Ducks basketball, the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
Most of my family, they never graduated high school, so I'm trying to break that barrier. My daughter, Brooklyn, was also a motivation for me to go back to school. Every day after work, went straight to school, and it paid off.
At age 26, Kareem finished his high school diploma.
I could not have done it alone. I see the future is really bright for me.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
You took the first step and quit smoking, but even former smokers may still be at risk for lung cancer.
That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know about a new low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early. It takes only 60 seconds and could save your life. You took the first step, now take the next. Visit SaveByTheScan.org for a simple quiz to see if you're eligible and talk to your doctor about screening. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
We're back on Tip-Off Tuesday from Coach Stubbs now to Will Richardson. Will, it's great to talk with you, man. And I got to say, this is the first time that Will Richardson's been on our player spotlight for Tip-Off Tuesday, which is my fault. I mean, in the first 2 years, Will, you played so darn well that we should have had you on by now. And now seeing you back on the floor, it was like, man, we have to have Will come on the show this week. So thanks for taking the time, Will. How good was it to be back, man?
It was fun and exciting. I haven't played basketball in a while, so it was just fun to be out there and to play with my teammates and finally get a go at it.
What was on your mind while you're sitting there watching all those games courtside, Will? I mean, it seemed like I was watching you at times. You got really into it.
Yeah. I mean, that's just the competitive nature in me. So, like, sitting on the sideline kind of just opened my eyes, and you could see the basketball game through, like, a different lens other than when you're playing. So it gives you, like, a different viewpoint on things.
You feel like you got, like, more of a coach mind now?
Yeah. I wouldn't say more of a coach mind, but, I mean, I guess you could say that. Like, you could just see the game. It's, like, much slower when you watch it from the sideline than when you actually play in the game.
I got to think, too, Will, with an injury like you had, I know Coach had mentioned that you were able to still run and still stay in shape, but it's a whole different level when you're actually back out there on the floor again, right? There's a different speed to it.
Yeah, there's no shape like basketball shape unless you're, like, actually playing basketball. So, like, you can run all you want, but when you get out there on the court, like, you're still going to be fatigued and tired.
How nice did it feel to get that win over Washington? Always good to beat the rival.
Yeah, I mean, it felt pretty good. It was more important that we got the team going. We're back on the right track. We're heading in the right direction because the whole team been off, like, for basically the last month. So everybody's a little slow and rugged. So
I heard you mention in the media postgame, Will, that you felt like this win meant more than maybe like half the team realized. Could you expand on that a little bit and just how much this could really propel you guys forward?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically like a building block, like just getting the pieces back. Like, we get Chris and Eric back this week, so just getting the pieces back, putting together and buying into the defensive end, like which always, like, I've been here for 3 years, and pretty much every year, like, around this time, the team starting to get it and start to buy into the defensive schemes, and that's when the team really starts to take off.
All right, well, you've been here for 3 years. Now you've seen it from the sideline a little bit. So why the heck does it take until about this time in the year to buy in on defense?
I mean, because every year we come with new faces and a new team, that either grad transfers or freshmen or transfers from, like, that sat out a year ago. So every year that I've been here so far, the whole entire team been pretty much new. Like, I'm the only returning player in the Fale, so, like, it's just new faces. And I think coming from different programs or coming from high school, like, everybody just wants to be an offensive player. They don't really, like, understand, like, at this level, to compete at this level, you have to really buy into defense and rebounding. So it just takes a while to get everything going.
What's the key to the defense in Coach Altman's scheme? I mean, when it clicks, what is it that clicks, Will?
Communication and just playing harder than the other team, just being the team that wants it more than the other team.
I got to ask you a hard-hitting question now, if you're ready for this. I think when you came back, you changed your hair back to similar to what it was freshman and sophomore year, right? But you had a little different hairdo when you were on the sideline.
Yes, sir. What was the question?
What changed? What changed? Why'd you change it back, Will?
Nah, I mean, because I was growing my hair out, but I can't really play like that. It was too long. So.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough. Will, what's it like being a student right now? I mean, you guys are student athletes. What's it like having to do school remotely and then you're still able to come to practice? I mean, just what's it been like as a college student over the last year?
It's been pretty interesting because all your classes are on Zoom. You don't really get to get that connection with your teacher or your classmates. It's like I honestly think it's harder to learn like that. It's been real interesting, but It's been fun, though. It gives you more time to get in the gym, though, because you don't have to walk to class. You don't have to walk down the road to go to tutoring. Like, everything's on your computer in your room. So
Sure. No,
it's been fun and interesting, but it's been harder to learn for sure.
Yeah, I hear that. Will Richardson joining us. Well, I like to ask this to folks like yourself that are veterans of teams. If you could go back in time to say 16, 17-year-old Will Richardson, and you could give younger you a piece of advice, what advice would you give your younger self?
I think I probably would have started lifting weights a lot earlier because I really didn't lift weights in high school. So I probably would have took that a lot more serious than I thought. Other than that,
Evan got to you is what you're telling me. Evan got to you.
Yes, sir. He got to me. Evan got to me.
I hear that. Keys down the stretch, Will. I mean, this is obviously a huge stretch at this point in the year in Pac-12 season, getting ready for postseason. Keys for you guys down the stretch?
Just sticking together. We're gonna have ups and downs. We're not gonna win every single game, but as long as we take every game and build from it and move forward, I think we should be pretty good.
How difficult has it been to find chemistry with all these new faces too, Will? I mean, you mentioned now guys being in and out. You know, we've talked about it a lot, just finding that rhythm. How difficult has it been to find that rhythm?
I mean, I guess it's been kind of difficult because, like, somebody will catch COVID 1 week, then we have an injury the next week. Like, we've been missing. I don't think we played one game when everybody's been back. So, like, the chemistry has been rough, but it's not that hard, though, because everybody on the team gets along. Like, we got a pretty close team, so. Like, it's not like nobody on the basketball court don't like each other. So it's just a matter of playing with each other.
That's awesome. I'm going to go back in time with you one more time, Will. I always like to ask this question. Why'd you pick Oregon? Why come from all the way from Georgia out here to Eugene, Oregon?
For one, I kind of wanted to play in the Pac-12. I just like the way the conference plays. It's like more of my tempo, my speed. And then the coaching staff here is, like, just amazing at developing players. Like, I knew I wasn't a pro right out coming out of high school, so I knew it would take time, and I just watched what they did over the years with some of the players they had, and then they just developing them and making them become who they want to be. So
that's cool to hear. That's really cool to hear. Well, lastly, I just want to ask you about getting back on the floor and kind of reviewing the time that you spent off. I mean, just did you find that you had like this new love or maybe like this newfound passion for basketball after you couldn't play for a few months? I mean, I've talked to folks before and injured folks before that have gone through that. Did you kind of have that click of like, man, I still love basketball, I need to get back on the floor?
Yeah, I think I went through that a little bit. Like, it just makes you realize like how much basketball actually means to you, because when you can't play it for a couple months, you realize like what else are you going to do with your time? Like,
I understand. Will Richardson, hey, I could talk to you for much longer, but I know you're busy. You got practice, you got class. Thanks for taking the time to chat with us, Will, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in action in the desert, and especially looking forward to seeing you back out on the floor. Welcome back, and it's good to have you.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
That's Will Richardson. When we come back, time to switch gears, talk with Kelly Graves. Tip-off Tuesday. More after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
Hi, welcome to the Spicy Drive-In. May I take your order?
Can I get the spicy chicken sandwich, please?
The spicy chicken is an excellent choice, sir. And to drink?
Whatever's fine.
Oh, may I make a beverage pairing recommendation this evening?
Sure.
If we are feeling especially bold tonight, sir, I would recommend the Mountain Dew with that. It's bravely unrestrained with a very alive aroma that pairs wonderfully with your spicy chicken. It's followed by a hint of zesty citrus flavor.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
I'm sure you already know this, sir, but remember to appreciate the nose first by giving the Mountain Dew a little swirl to really volatilize it.
What?
To change the flavor compounds and activate your taste buds to get them fully primed for that chicken sandwich.
It's delicious.
Now you're getting the hang of it. The muscular flavor-charged characteristics of Mountain Dew make for an absolutely epic mouthfeel when paired with spicy cuisine. It is quite on point, sir.
Dude, it's a perfect match. Like they were made for each other.
So true, so true.
When you want to make good food bolder and bold food better, do the Dew.
Ducks basketball lives here on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
When you went car shopping, you meant business. You aced vehicle history searches and test drives. You out-salesmaned the salesman. Now you've got your wheels. If you manage that, you can get your retirement plan on track. Visiting aceyourretirement.org can help. With 401k tips and smart saving strategies, you'll have the info you need to get more for your future. Go to aceyourretirement.org, because when it comes to speeding past financial challenges, you're an ace. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
GTG, BRB, OMW, be there in a few. You may think that these kinds of texts are fine because of their length, and you can easily send them at a stoplight. But no, answering one text can take your attention away from the road for 5 seconds. And traveling at 55 miles an hour, that's enough time to travel the length of a football field. Make good decisions, don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Tip Off Tuesday, presented by Carl's Jr. Feed your happy. We see it on the cups every time we do the show here from the Country Financial Studio, and I always am just like, why do we do this show in the middle of the afternoon? It's like it's getting you ready for dinner. That's when we record the show live for those of you who are watching. It just makes you ready for dinner. Thanks to our friends at Carl's Jr. Meanwhile, Terry Jonz earlier today sat down with Oregon women's basketball head coach Kelly Graves for their weekly conversation. Chat with Kelly Graves always brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. Terry Jonz talking with Kelly Graves after the Ducks are looking for a bounce back following a tough loss last night.
All right, Coach, some good and bad this weekend. You got back to action out of COVID protocol for the most part, and you got to win, but against Arizona, didn't get what you wanted.
No, we didn't. It was a rough weekend, even in the win. I'm not sure we were at our complete best. To be it was understood because we'd been off 8 days, and you really don't have any practice at all, and you come back and play. So I liked how we got it out a win against a really pretty good Davis team. But then we took a step back, against Arizona, unfortunately. I thought the first half, we fought and it was a 1-point game at halftime, and I felt pretty good about where we were at. And then the second half just got away from us a little bit. They came out, they kind of increased their level of intensity. And quite frankly, just defensively, we didn't make any stops. Down at their place, we turned it over 23 times. Up here, we only turned it over 6. So I thought we did a better job offensively, but then defensively, we didn't.
Knocking down shots, still a little bit of a struggle. I know the defense in the second half wasn't what you wanted, but knocking down shots continues to be a problem. And I know some fans are like, don't you guys practice? I mean, that's what it sounds like. And of course you do. It's just not coming from the practice floor to the playing floor these last few games, has it?
Yeah, and fans just need to relax. I mean, it's, we're a work in progress. I think we made that quite clear right from the very start of the season. It's we're gonna be up and down, and all I can do is try to help us get the best shots that we can. And I think for the most part, we're getting pretty good shots, and they're just not going. You've seen us at practice, and you know how we can shoot. And we've had some games this year where we've really shot well, but particularly in our 4 losses, our field goal and our 3-point percentage just aren't where they need to be. So, but all we can do is just keep grinding, and we're still 12-4. The 4 losses are against 4 teams in the top 10. Now, granted, we're a good team too, and we expect and hope to win those games. I'm not saying that, but at the same time, other than the game at Arizona, we played. We were up 1 against Stanford at halftime. We're only down 1 here against Arizona at halftime. UCLA game could have gone either way. It was a 2-point game in the end. So it was. These are games that we could and need to finish. But at the same time, I'm certainly not panicked. And I think anybody who's panicking and, or doomsdayers, aren't true fans, quite frankly.
And too, I pointed out, and Bev and I were last night, just, hey, realize that of the top 4 teams, Oregon's the least experienced one. It's quite remarkable. Really, you're up there battling these other 3 real experienced teams. But we're finished with this. got a chance to talk with Sydney Parrish. What a great kid, great player. And tell us about Sid.
Well, she's a great recruiter. She's the one that really helped us bring in this freshman class. I owe a lot to her. She was the first one to make the commitment to us. And I think that was really important because, everybody looks up to her nationally. She was one of those players that everybody knows, everybody likes, and she's obviously a tremendous player. I like what she's been doing. I truly do. I think she's continued to get better and better throughout the year. She is more than just a shooter. I mean, she gets a hand on a lot of balls. She's pretty good on the boards. She just makes things happen when she comes in, and that's why you've seen her minutes continue to rise throughout the year. But I just love her attitude. She's a heady ball player. She's just such a nice person and a great teammate. She's really the whole package, and I think she's got a chance to be a really, really good player for us. And you see that for what she's doing now.
All right, Coach, I'll let you go. We'll talk about Cal and Stanford later in the week as you got a short week to get ready.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Terry.
Terry Jonz sitting down with Oregon women's basketball head coach Kelly Graves. Our chat with Kelly Graves each week is brought to you by our friends at Toyota. Let's go places. Yeah, Sydney Parrish, it's a cool story that you're going to hear coming up with Terry Jonz because Sydney Parrish was a huge reason that big Fab Five freshman all came to Oregon. She was the first one to commit and then kind of helped recruit the others. Terry Jonz and her talked about that coming up. She's averaging about 6.5 points, a little over 3 rebounds per game, and her minutes have steadily increased over the course of this season. In fact, she played a season high in minutes in each of the last 2 games, 22 minutes against UC Davis and 22 minutes against Arizona, most minutes that she's played in each game so far this season. So Sydney Parrish been doing some really good things for the Ducks. And look, we know that this is a young team. We knew that there were going to be some growing pains, even with those 5-star freshmen coming in. I will say, though, I love that Bev Smith at the beginning of the season referred to them as the fundamental 5. Maybe you guys have heard her talk about this on the broadcast with Terry, the Hall of Famer Bev Smith. She said, yeah, they're just so fundamentally good for freshmen. So she called them the fundamental 5, and I kind of hope that sticks, honestly. If we're looking back a few years from now and it's like, no, they're not the Fab 5, they're the fundamental 5. Like, sure, Fab's got the flashiness to it, but the fundamental 5, there's just something about that phrase that just makes you go, oh, yeah, that could be something special. That could be something really special. We're going to hear from one of them in Sydney Parrish coming up next. It's Tip-Off Tuesday presented by Carl's Jr. More coming up inside the Country Financial Studio on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
What's it like to grow with the O? At OCCU, we support Duck fans each step of the way by educating our youth with Lucky Duck Savings, celebrating independence with Duck Debit Checking, and rewarding members with the Duck Credit Card. That's how Duck fans grow with OCCU. Learn how you can too at myoccu.org/ducks.
Carl's Jr. invites you to try the new Fiery Famous Star. Are you looking for sizzling charbroiled burger bliss, melty pepper jack cheese, and kickin' jalapeno crispiness, all dripping with creamy, zesty, fiery sauce goodness? Your answer is yes. Join us for the new Fiery Famous Star, only at Carl's Jr. Feed your happy. Available for a limited time at participating Carl's Jr. restaurants. Price and participation may vary.
This is Ducks basketball from Learfield IMG College.
Hey everyone, let's all stop what we're doing and take a moment. You see? Every moment can be kind of special. But they can be loud moments, goofy moments, dorky moments, it doesn't matter. Because every time dads like us take a moment like that to spend with our kids, well, it's pretty momentous. So let's take a moment to make a moment. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Hello, it's me, the designer jeans in the back of your closet. What happened to us? I used to summer in the Hamptons, and now I'm stuck behind a pair of sweats. Okay, maybe I never really fit you right, but I got a lot more Sunday fun days left in me. So take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff. Create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Welcome back inside the Country Financial Studio. It is Tip-Off Tuesday, presented by Carl's Jr. Feed your happy at Carl's Jr. Sydney Parrish, one of the outstanding freshmen who's been playing for Oregon women's basketball, getting to know her a little bit as Terry Jonz sits down with one of the outstanding freshmen.
Sid from Fishers, Indiana, which, I to be honest with you, I had to look it up. And I know you're just outside of Indianapolis, but what was it like growing up in Fishers, Indiana?
It was really fun. It's a really big town, so I got to know a lot of people. There's 2 high schools in my town. My sister went to Fishers High School, and I ended up going to the rival school, Hamilton Southeastern. So we had a lot of good rivalries in the household. But it was really fun. Went to a really big high school where sports was really important. So it was fun for that rivalry and just Indiana high school sports in general.
And speaking of Indiana high school sports, Indiana Miss Basketball. Maybe I should address you as that, first of all. You can go by Sid, but also known as. And I know that meant a lot to you. And Indiana, a big basketball state, that really meant a lot to you, didn't it?
Yeah, it meant a lot. I mean, I've been dreaming about that since I was little. And just to finally be named Indiana Miss Basketball was a blessing. And one of my biggest accomplishments I've had.
Your mom and dad both played basketball, I understand, college basketball. Yep. So, I think I know where you got your start playing hoops. But tell us about your family, your mom and dad.
Yeah, my mom played at Valparaiso University, and then my dad played at Ball State University. And then my dad continued and coached on the men's side in college. So he's been coaching me ever since I was little. My mom has been coaching me ever since I was little. So really, I've been surrounded by basketball and great coaching, and they've helped me through this whole recruiting process and just getting to college and stuff.
Yeah, now your dad, I think, was an assistant at Northwestern, and then with Rick Majerus, a very famous coach at Utah.
Yep, he was.
So he's been out here. Now what's he do now? He's still coaching in high school, isn't he?
Yeah, he coaches in high school, helps a little on the AAU circuit, and just outside of basketball, just sales.
And
yeah, that's pretty much his side hobby is really basketball. That's what he loves to do. So he keeps involved.
That's a pretty good side hobby.
Yeah.
Your sister, Lauren, is a swimmer at Kansas, right? And I know you did some swimming in your past as well. But tell us about your sister.
Yeah, she's amazing. I look up to her so much. I mean, you could look up all of her accomplishments and you'd be wowed by it. I just couldn't be more thankful to have somebody like her to look up to. Like, she's done so many great things at Kansas, and not just the swimming side, but just outside of swimming, and done so many things for the university. And I'm just really, really proud to call her my sister. And I'm excited to see what she does once she gets out of college.
Now, was she a hooper too?
A little bit, but she's more of a swimmer. So, I mean, she wasn't the best on the court, but she found her specialty in the pool.
Now, you got a backyard basket. In fact, I saw a video. I even got to see it. I had read about it, and then I ran across a video this morning. I went, oh, there it is. Saw you out there shooting. Yep. Pretty cool place to grow up and learn the game. And in Indiana, I know you've talked about that there's a hoop in every house.
Yeah, really cool to grow up there. I mean, a lot of my work has been done back out there with my parents, whether it's working out hard or just having small horse and pig competitions and knockout with some of the neighbors. So, yeah, it's been pretty fun.
So other sports, I know I read where you did swimming. Was it soccer as well?
Mm-hmm. I swam and played soccer, and then once I got into middle school, I really just fell in love with basketball and just decided to primarily focus on basketball. And I mean, I'm glad I did.
How old were you when you first had a basketball in your hands? Do you remember?
I don't remember. It had to be. No, I don't remember.
Okay, being from the Hoosier State, I had asked you your favorite movie.
Hoosiers.
Okay, thank you. I was gonna, I didn't want to be, stereotyping. Okay, it's got to be Hoosiers,
No, I
but
love
of course.
Hoosiers. Yeah.
Well, that's a good one. That's a good one to like. What's well, I guess I was gonna say pregame meal, your favorite pregame meal, but you can't have that mapped out for you now here in college of what you have. But what's your go-to food? What's your fave?
Go-to food. That's a hard one. I really like Chipotle. I'd say Chipotle.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. I'd say Chick-fil-A, but there's no Chick-fil-A here.
That'll be here soon, hopefully. I don't know.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Well, soon. We have some other things that other people don't have, so it all equals out, right? You got to go on the road to get your Chick-fil-A right now. Pick an Oregon. You had choices, obviously. Big-time recruit, 5-star, all 5 of you, the Fab 5. But what was it about Oregon that stood out, and you wanted to come all the way out here to play for the Ducks?
Yeah, I didn't know I wanted to come this far. I mean, I visited, and right when I came on campus, it just felt different than anywhere else I had visited. And once I left, it was the only place I was driving back to, like, the airport, and I really didn't want to leave. Like, I didn't want to leave the girls. I didn't want to leave the staff. I really just had that connection with everyone right away, and it just felt like the right place. And so I gave it time, and then I had my home visit with KG, and like, as he's talking to me, I was just like, I know this is where I belong. And he left the room and came back to Eugene. And right when he left, I just broke down crying, and I just knew it was like the perfect fit. And I think that's when my parents knew too. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're glad you came. Now, you were the first of the Fab 5. So you kind of helped recruit some of the others, right? And say, hey, I'm coming. You need to come here too.
Yeah. Yeah. I knew Maddie and Kylie before coming here, so I knew them really well. I didn't know Tahina or Angela, so I mean, my job was really to try to get Maddie and Kylie. And I know my mom was really stressed. She's like, what if you're the only one that goes? What if nobody else follows? And I was like, I'm gonna get them to come. So I talked to them, and they got on board. And I knew without them saying that they'd come, I knew that they were giving the hint that they were going to commit soon. So I just kind of knew. I felt good about it. And now that they're here, and then I met Tahina and Angela. I met Angela at a basketball tournament when she was committed, so that was good. And then I had known Tahina from USA Basketball. We were actually roommates our freshman year of high school, so a long time ago. But we didn't talk at all, and we were roommates. So now that we're here and we're really good friends, it's crazy to think about.
Now, you had a bit of a relationship with Sabrina Ionescu before this, when you're obviously younger, but Team USA, and you didn't make the squad. You're really young. But then what happened after that? Sabrina sent you a little message, I understand.
Yeah, I was on my way back to the airport to go back to Indiana, and I had a really good tryout. I thought I had deserved to make the team, but in reality, I didn't. And we were driving back, and I get a text from Sabrina, and I didn't have her number. I didn't know, Sabrina wasn't really who Sabrina was at that time, but she had sent me a really, really long text message just about her experience and how I needed to just keep working. And it really just opened my eyes and realized that a lot of people go through tough times in basketball. And it was really cool to get that from her and to see that she really cared. So.
Yeah, that's Sabrina.
Yeah.
That's what's been the biggest adjustment? I mean, coming from high school, I mean, you play AAU ball, like the club circuit, and you play against a lot of these players that you're going to be playing at this level for the next 3+ years. But what's been the biggest adjustment?
I'd say either the speed or just the strength of all the girls. I mean, I came in, and the first couple games, the girls are just so much stronger and faster, and just on the defensive end, I was really struggling at first, just at practice. And I just realized that I really need to focus on the defensive end, because I will not get anywhere if I can't defend somebody. And so, I mean, I worked at it and tried to get stronger in the weight room, and it's been a struggle, but we've been trying to get there.
I was going to say, you probably lifted more weights than you ever have in your life, haven't you?
Yes. Yeah.
But like, you understand, you say they're stronger, and you need that, because otherwise you're going to get pushed. Yeah, you're going to get pushed around. Number 33. What is there a meaning behind your jersey number 33?
It was my dad's college number. So when my sister started playing basketball at first and she got to pick a number, she picked my mom's number. So when I started and I got to pick my number, I picked my dad's, and it just always stuck. I've always been 33.
All righty. That's all the time I got. I've got more questions for you, and we'll have to do it at a later time. Sid, we're glad you came to be a Duck. We really are. And you're doing great. Keep up the great work. Thanks for the visit.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
That was cool, getting to know the original, I guess, founding member of the Fab Five. Can we say that she's the Oregon Fab Five founder? The Fun Five? Fundamental Five? A lot of alliteration, 5. Yeah, that was cool talking with Sydney Parrish, and my thanks to Terry Jonz for doing so. Hey, if you're live with us in the now I guess 3 o'clock hour when we do the show live from 2:30 to 3:30, the Arizona men's basketball matchup is being moved up to 11 a.m. Pacific time. Just getting word from the Oregon Sports Information Office. Greg Walker working with the conference and the opponents. Oregon men's basketball, that game is going to move up to 11 a.m. Pacific time as the Ducks will face the Wildcats coming up on Saturday. Now, in the meantime, though, Oregon men's basketball, they got to take care of business in Tempe first. I'm excited for this one. 5:30 pregame, 6 o'clock tip-off for Oregon men's basketball against Arizona State. The Ducks, UCLA, and Arizona State were the 3 preseason favorites to win the Pac-12 this year. In fact, it was the closest vote between the top 3 teams in the history of the poll. This is the first opportunity that the Ducks are going to have to play against the Sun Devils coming up here on Thursday at 6 o'clock. Wild times. Oregon has had their games against UCLA postponed a few times, had one game against Arizona State get postponed so far. So this will be the first time that we get to see these two squads match up with each other at 6 o'clock on Thursday. It's a big game for Oregon. I think, one, getting back to a rhythm offensively. 2, you're hitting the road again. And 3, conference standings. Ducks still are within striking distance, even though they've played a lower number of games on the men's side than a lot of other conference schools out there this year. The Ducks still are within striking distance of a conference championship. But they got to play games. They got to get those games in. And that's going to be a big, big key here, I think, against Remy Martin and Arizona State, who you heard Coach Stubblefield say they've had their own issues. They've had some COVID pauses. They've had injuries. They're looking for that rhythm, too. So for Oregon men's basketball at 6 o'clock against Arizona State, it's going to be a big one. And if you're just joining us again, the announcement just now being made that Oregon men's basketball, their game moving to 11 a.m. on Saturday against Arizona. Friday, 4 o'clock, Oregon women's basketball hosts Cal. And then next Monday, 4 o'clock, the Ducks take on Stanford. My thanks to Terry Jonz, Scott Phillips, Mitchell Lee. I'm Joey Mack. Go Ducks. We'll see you this week.
Dear Wallet, can't stop a new 2021 Toyota, no matter the weather. The Camry all-wheel drive comes out to play. Snowy hills don't stand a chance against the RAV4, and everyone will be comfy in the Highlander. See you in the snow. Toyota. Find yours at Toyota.com. Toyota. Let's go places.
Gerard Butler stars as a man determined to save his family from a catastrophic event. Rent Greenland. Now available at Redbox. When a comet is projected to hit Earth in 2 days and trigger the apocalypse,